sorry. So 7, 8, 9 is going to have a house, and then we're going to have, like I said, about 5 assistant principals in each of those schools. I want those people milling around. I want them walking around. Then you're going to have your principal, at least 4 guidance counselors. So we will be staffing these schools so that folks know that there's people that they can go to. You know, kids will know.
Can you talk about the security at the
Yeah,
junior high
so
and the high school?
my goal is to have 2 SROs at each of the schools. And then we have these folks that are campus security folks. We got additional folks. And they are retired military or retired police, and they go through training, and they're hired by the police department. Their charge is to kind of walk the perimeter, be on guard, walk the perimeter, keep an eye out for any nonsense. So I want to have one of those as well. So that's 3 security people at each of those main high school, junior high. I'm also looking to hire or to assign, if we have some people, I think they might have been called campus monitors, something along those lines. There'll be 2 campus monitors at each of those sites. Now, I want to see them in the hallways. So my goal is teachers, step out in the hall, but you're also going to have all these other folks that are going to be there. So adults to students, I'm very, very keen on making sure that, we're watching, and we're also scheduling so that we don't have a lot of moving from place to place every 45 minutes. So at the high school, we're probably going to have a modified block, which are longer periods of time, which means children aren't moving every 45 minutes. Because it's sometimes in the movement where you get issues. And I don't want everybody, so if we map it right, we should have the 7th graders going to school in a particular area of the school. So they don't have to go over here and over there, over there. They'll go between their area to go to school. So I'm trying to contain
What do you
the
anticipate
movement.
the enrollment to be at the new high school?
At the high school, it'll probably be 1,700 or so. It's about 600 a grade level.
All right, band boosters,
Mhm.
football
Yeah.
club. I don't
Mhm.
remember the athletic club.
Sure. Well,
At the
boosters, I
different
guess,
schools,
too. Mhm.
right? The money they've raised.
Right.
They raised money that one group told me that they were going to do some work at Northview, but the city said they couldn't do the work. Now, who at the city? I always ask somebody when they say the city said. I said, now give me a name because the city can't speak. It's got to be an individual.
And that, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question.
Right.
I don't know who's been told what.
But the money that
Uh-huh.
they've raised,
Uh-huh.
what's your plans with the different pots of money that parents have got
Mhm.
out and raised for
Mhm.
their schools? What are your plans with that?
So, if it's for a booster, if it's for a band or something like that, I would like to get the head person named for band, then have a meeting with the boosters and hear from them. What we'll need to do is think about the fact that we're going to have a band program over at the junior high. We're going to have a bigger band program over at the senior high. So what I would hope, depending on what their goal was, is if it was uniforms or if it's band instruments, that we can come together and determine what are the things now that they would like to be part of, and then we'll have to determine what the split's going to be. Is it 2/3 to the senior? Is it 1/3 to the junior? Because yes, we'll have a band, but it won't be as large over here. Those are the kinds of conversations that we need to have. And I see that happening with basically almost all of the issues that we have. For instance, football. So we already know we have a head coach. We already know we have new colors. We worked carefully with the students, and we're going to work carefully with Principal McKay to make sure that, whether it's called Dothan Preparatory Academy, which is the name I like, that we're going to keep the same uniforms. So Dothan colors and mascot don't have to change. So we'll have those uniforms and those colors, okay? We still have to recondition every helmet and do all that stuff. But that school should not be a big branding issue, but Northview is. And, the Dothan High School, new Dothan High School, will be a big branding issue. And uniforms and so on. So I got to work with every segment, and those are going to be conversations. But I can't do that before I get a head band person named. As far as the elementaries go, if there's an elementary principal, and there's not too many, that are sitting with pots of money that their PTO have come up with, I expect that we're going to have a conversation with the principals and the PTOs, and then determine by percentages where those students are now going to school, and then hopefully take the dollars and send it to those schools.
Key word that you said that the parents need to understand:
Mhm.
come together.
Mhm.
In the school board meeting that I witnessed the other night,
Uh-huh.
was everybody had come together.
Mhm.
And so I gather from this of what you're saying is you got 12 steps before you get to that, which is coming up that you'll get to it. And then you expect the parents,
I
the
expect them to have some
workers
input,
to
absolutely.
come together.
Right, because they need to help us. I mean, I'm hoping people will, as you say, come together or coalesce around the fact that, you know, we have a different makeup now. But that doesn't mean if you support the band, you still support the band. I mean, we're going to have a band director plus a second band person really at each site. So it's going to be a bigger and better program, but that means we have to talk about uniforms. We have to talk about whether they're going to have, for instance, some bands have themes every year that they change. Are we going to go with something like that, or are we going to go with standard? But all these things have to be talked about, and no less the amount of instruments and that kind of thing. Of course, whatever dollars we have provided are still sitting there. What I am asking is that people don't indiscriminately start using money, and by people I mean staff. People, you know, I'm sitting here with $35,000, I'm just going to use it. No, because we have to think forward too. Now, I'm not saying if a student, don't get me wrong, if they need something, I'm all for it. But if this is just, oh, I'm planning for next year, well, we got to plan with a little bit more thought for next year, because it's different.
Right.
So yeah, I would hope and expect, and I know there's parents out there that have contacted me that want to help. So one of the next steps is, as I said, the principals have their lists. So I would say during February, at the latest, they're going to start contacting parents. And they're going to start meeting with parents, because now we have to kind of group and regroup. We have to storm, because we kind of did storm, and we have to norm. We have to get back together and create a group of parents that are going to work with the two Gerards, you know, or Beverly and Hidden Lakes, because I've got two principals now, and but basically it's a span of 3 through 6. So that's why they're working their theme together. You know, I've got Fane that's doing STEM, and I've got Carver right there that's doing science, math, and technology. There's connections here. So we have to walk together. And you asked about signatures. So I've got 4 schools right now that are going to do what's called expeditionary learning. And we've already been in contact with the EL professionals, and we're sending teachers and principals right now to training. This is another thing the public doesn't know. How are you going to get these things in place? Well, I'm going to train people, but it's not going to happen immediately, but I need you to know that it's already happening. So my IB people, that's Kelly Springs, and the 2 Gerards, so Sue and Jeff and Wanda, are either have gone to IB training or are going to IB training. But just because you don't go once doesn't mean it's done. You can't do training that way. So we're going to be looking, I would like to provide for every school, and I don't know the amount of dollars yet, but I'd say it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000, which may sound like a lot to people, but we haven't spent much money on professional development, and if you're going to get better, you've got to be trained. So I want to provide that money, and then what needs to happen is in the spring and in the summer, they need to start sending their people to these trainings, or some trainings will come in. And then I just left a meeting on A+ schools, which is more about junior high and senior high. They're very excited. So we're going to join their network, and they're going to be training people. But if they have that pot of money, that's what it's going to be designated for. It's not going to be for this trip or that trip. It's going to be targeted.
If you could sum up to the community, and there's been pros and cons,
Mm-hmm.
there's been people that has treated some board members like dirt,
And me.
and you,
And the
that-
chairman.
But we won't say that.
right, what is it that you could say to the community about be patient about what's coming? What's the one thing that you would like to say, chill?
I'd like them to say, I mean, I know, and maybe it's from the past, or maybe it's even from I've been here about a year.
11 months.
Okay,
We
thanks,
started
11 months.
months ago.
I certainly haven't sat back and done nothing. I've reviewed everything, I've taken a detailed look. I think my decisions have been carefully, thought through with facts. I'm an educator for well over 30 years. I wouldn't be in this if I didn't have a heart for kids. But I don't know that there's a lot of trust out there. And so what I want them to know is that I want every student to have the very best education. It shouldn't matter whether you live in the Fane neighborhood or you live in Hidden Lakes neighborhood. It should not matter.